This is just what I wanted to see.
At 22:16 hours, we got a call that a man was acting wildly in the store. It took us a while to control the situation. We've had 3 incidences this week. They're annoying.
What have we got?
What do you do when you make a game that receives unanimous critical acclaim and sells close to 7 million copies, making it one of the highest selling games on its platform as a whole? Well, you make a sequel, of course. Only 1 month after the launch of the original Crash Bandicoot, developer Naughty Dog went right back to work creating what would become its sequel. The team knew that making something bigger and better than their previous game would be no easy task. Andy Gavin, one of Crash's co-creators, programmed a brand new engine from scratch called the Game-Oriented Object Lisp 2 to help make their ambitious ideas a reality. This new engine would be about 3 times faster than the engine used in Crash 1 and could handle 10 times the animation frames and twice the model polygon count. What does all of that mean in English? The game would be leaps and bounds more detailed and give the team the freedom to make something truly amazing for the PlayStation. This is a look at Crash Bandicoot 2: Cortex Strikes Back.
Hi, I'm Crash Bandicoot.
Our story opens immediately following the events of the previous game, with Dr. Cortex falling down from his battle with Crash. He lands down onto the island below and winds up inside a secret cave that was previously undiscovered. Inside this cave is a mystical purple crystal called the Master Crystal. Flash forward 1 year, and Cortex along with his new assistant Dr. Engine have rebuilt the Cortex Vortex, a device used to brainwash living creatures into being mindless slaves into a space station pointed directly at the Earth. Unfortunately for Cortex, his Master Crystal won't be enough to power the Vortex, requiring an additional 25 slave crystals for more energy. Having most of his forces wiped out during the events of the first game, Cortex has no choice but to ask for help from his last connection on the planet, that being Crash himself. Meanwhile on Earth, Crash and his newly introduced sister Coco are relaxing in the forest when Coco sends Crash to grab a new battery for her laptop. After a short gameplay introduction, Crash is suddenly teleported away and appears in an ancient area called the Warp Room. Cortex appears in front of Crash in the form of a hologram and explains that he's discovered in the near future the planets of the solar system will be aligning and the energy from this event will be enough to destroy the world. Cortex begs Crash to travel the world for him and to collect the 25 purple crystals in order to help him dissipate the energy and save the planet. Additionally, Cortex's old assistant, Dr. 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝘀, appears before Crash as well, explaining that Cortex is not to be trusted and that he would like Crash to gather all of the gems as opposed to the crystals. This would make you think you have a choice in which you'd like to collect, either crystals or gems, but unfortunately it doesn't. No matter what, crystals are needed to progress the story. It's a real missed opportunity to give the game a second story scenario. If you do skip the crystals and only grab the gems, you get some additional cutscenes where Cortex scolds you for somehow missing the painfully obvious objective. It's pretty funny seeing how unhinged he gets if you do it enough times.
No, Crash. I said bring me the crystals! No, Crash. To save the world, I need crystals. Crystals! One more time. They look like this. Crystals, Crash! Go back through one of those doors and bring me crystals. Look above the doorways. Above each, there is a big crystal-shaped slot. Fill all 5 crystal slots in this warp room by retrieving 1 crystal from each of the 5 areas. Only after we have filled all of the slots in this room can we continue on our quest. This is the last time I will remind you.
Crash Bandicoot 2 is split up into 25 stages across 5 hub worlds, with 2 secret levels accessible by finding hidden warps in stages. In each of the hubs, you're presented with 5 stages that you can play in any order you like, much like a Mega Man game. Since the warp room is able to teleport Crash anywhere in the world, this allows the levels to be much more varied in location, such as sewers, alpines, or even space stations. All of these new location additions make Crash 2 feel much larger in scale as compared to Crash 1, taking place in mainly jungle-focused stages. The main goal in each stage of Crash 2 is to grab a power crystal and reach the goal. But just like Crash 1, each stage also has at least one gem as well. Colored gems make their return, once again opening up pathways to crates and other secrets. Stages now indicate right away if they contain a color gem, making collecting them a much smoother process. Overall, I'd say the gem collection challenge is far easier in Crash 2 as compared to Crash 1, but we'll come back to that a little later on. It's not quite as easy as it seems. The gameplay of Crash 2 has gotten an enormous boost in quality compared to Crash 1. Crash overall feels much lighter and floatier, which fixes my issues with the heavy feeling jumps in the first game. Additionally, Crash has a few new moves in his arsenal that give a spin to how you tackle obstacles. On top of the classic jump and spin attacks, Crash can now use a crouch, a body slam, and a slide. Crouching can be used to climb through tight spaces, and the body slam is used to break some of the new types of crates called locked crates. Body slamming can also be used to make the rare armored enemy vulnerable to attacks. The slide is by far the best addition to Crash's moveset, giving an immediate access to a burst of speed that can be used to take out enemies, and can even be comboed into a jump for increased height. You'll see me doing this a lot in the gameplay footage, as it just feels so good to use. Another new type of crate that's been added is the Nitro Crate. Much like TNT crates, these explode on contact but don't have a timer. If you touch one, you're dead. All of the Nitro crates can be destroyed by finding and detonating the green switch crates, but they're usually found later on in stages. Bonus stages make their return, but instead of collecting character tokens to enter, all you need to do is find an entrance. They're usually right in the center of your path, so very hard to miss. A new type of bonus areas are death routes. These special bonus stages only open up if you reach them in a single life. If you die before reaching them, the platform to enter will become hollow. These are some of the hardest challenges that the game offers, so be prepared to lose some of your lives. One nice thing about these is that if you die during the death route, you can re-enter as many times as you like, making them less frustrating than they could have been. On the topic of dying repeatedly, deaths no longer affect your gem progress. Thank God! So now you can die as many times in a stage as you need and still get your gem. This is a phenomenal quality of life change and makes 100% completion of the game a much more pleasant experience. With that being said, it's impossible to talk about Crash 2 without discussing backtracking. Crash 2 loves to make you go backwards in a stage to grab crates that you've missed. A lot of times, crates will appear hollow until you've activated a switch later on, so you'll need to head backwards through a stage to get them. With the overall increase to level length, this can be a very tedious process. The worst offender of this type of backtracking is the stage Cold Hard Crash. So in this stage, in order to grab the gem, you first need to reach the death route without losing a life. Then once inside, you need to navigate tons of obstacles to reach the end of the side-scrolling segment, just to hit a switch to form crates at the beginning of the death route. So now, head backwards through the same obstacles to get the newly formed crate. Now you'd assume your next move is to go back to the end of the death route, so, 3 times through, but that's incorrect. If you were to head back to the end of the death route, you'd be placed farther along in the regular stage ahead of the crates necessary for the gem. So what are you supposed to do? Once you break the newly formed crate, head further left to the entrance platform of the death route and descend back to the regular stage. No other death route in this entire game asks you to do this. 99.9% of the time, you just need to reach the end of the route and you'll be teleported back to where you started, but not this time. The developers knew exactly what they were doing. They even flip you off mid-death route, I'm not kidding. So you finally did all that, making it to the end of the stage to claim your gem, and wait, no. Please tell me what I'm seeing isn't true. I missed a crate? Where in the world did I miss a crate? I kid you not. I played through this stage at least 5 times, doing the ridiculous death route every single time, and I never found this singular crate. Only after watching someone else's playthrough was I able to find the crate. It's off screen! This level single-handedly makes collecting all of the gems a much harder process than it needs to be. This one hurt, Naughty Dog. This one hurt. Anyway, Crash 2 also introduces what I like to call gimmick stages. These stages shift the focus away from the traditional gameplay and focus more on gimmicks such as riding a polar bear or flying with a jetpack. Okay, to be fair, Crash 1 did this as well with the Hog Wild stage, but Crash 2 took the idea to the next level. My favorite has to be the jetboard stages. They start out with some traditional platforming segments and then transition to their gimmick. You'll ride a jet-powered boogie board and navigate past bombs and whirlpools. It's a lot of fun. My least favorite of these has to be the polar bear riding levels. The levels themselves aren't too challenging, but you'll need to be incredibly precise if you're trying to get the gems in these stages. Though when you're done, you can take out all of your frustrations by jumping on Polar over and over again. Oh, hey, that's neat. Visually, man, what a step up from the first game. Character models are even more detailed and expressive than before, and level themes are just phenomenal. The stage Ruination, with its creepy Lost Temple design, along with the rain, thunder, and lightning effects, is definitely my personal favorite in terms of atmosphere. Going back to the previous game, Crash just looks so boxy in comparison, where in Crash 2, he just looks so much more polished. They did phenomenal with these character models. When they said that Crash 2's engine was able to handle more detailed models and maps, they weren't kidding. Much like Crash 1, Crash 2 also got a from-the-ground-up remake in 2017. There isn't any new content here, no new stages or anything like that, but the visual polish in these remakes is just astounding. There's not much more that needs to be explained here, just watch some of these clips and see what you think. Once collecting all the crystals, it's revealed to Crash that Cortex was lying all along and reveals his true goals of powering up his space station. Crash prevents him from doing so in a pretty underwhelming final boss encounter, and the day is saved. Or is it? Even though its power source has been lost, the space station is still up there, just waiting to be recharged. Well, if you manage to collect all of the clear and color gems along the way, you can access an alternative ending where Embryo fires a laser at the station, destroying it, and sending all of the pieces floating off into space, being the true final ending. With how underwhelming the final boss fight is, it really makes me wish for that alternative scenario where Crash ignores the crystals and helps 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝘲 right off the bat. That could have led to a different final boss that's a little more intense than just, hit Cortex a few times as he flies away. Oh well, missed potential. So that was a quick look at Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. This is how you do a sequel. You take what worked about the first game and continue to polish it to perfection. Everything about this game, from improved gameplay to improved visuals to fantastic quality of life changes, make this leaps and bounds better than the first Crash Bandicoot game. While it can be frustrating at times, it's an overall much better experience. In my previous review, I'd mentioned that I would probably never go for 100% completion in Crash 1 ever again, but with Crash 2, that definitely isn't the case. Now that I know where that stupid off-screen box is in Cold Hard Crash, I don't think I'll have any issue going back and playing this game to completion time and time again. It's just that good. Join me next time when we discuss the final game in the original Crash trilogy, Crash Bandicoot Warped. Oh man, alright, now that video took a long time to make between recording, re-recording certain aspects of it, editor crashes, that took me at least like 35 hours to put that whole thing together, so I really truly hope you enjoyed it. I want to give a very special thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon. You can see them right here on the left side of the screen. Guys, you rock. You know I say this all the time, but I wouldn't be able to do what I do without your support, so truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you're new here and you would also like to support me on Patreon, there's a link down below in the description. Additionally, I live stream a few days a week here on YouTube, so if you want to pop in and say hi, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be notified when we go live. I'll see you on the next one.